Hello and welcome back to So This is Thailand. I'm Johan Wimoncholau, Swadee Krap.
I'm ทัปปณีมนาเวศสวัสดีค่ะ
And I'm Belinda Skinner. Sawadika.
And as you can tell, Valerie is not in and Belinda is once again filling in.
Thank you very much for having me back.
Oh, it's nice having you here. Good change of scenery, change of faces.
Well, I enjoyed immensely, so thank you.
What'd you do over the weekend?
Well, actually, if I can answer that one, because I had a very exciting weekend. For those, I don't know if you know what the AFL or the Australian Rules football is, but I'm an avid supporter of the Australian Rules. We had the grand final day on Saturday. It was very exciting indeed.
What is Australian rules football? What are those extra rules?
I was just looking at your face then, and I thought that question may come
What
up.
does that mean?
It's a debatable topic in Australia because you have Australian rules football versus rugby. And predominantly most people in Australia follow the Australian rules football. There's only two states in Australia really, the Queensland and New South Wales, that are more rugby orientated. But it's very good over here in Thailand because we are the largest, the largest party outside or celebration outside of Australia that holds here in Bangkok. We get over 500 people at this event. And it's actually held 2-1, so if anybody did miss out, next year don't worry, you can actually participate in the grand final event. It's run through, the one that I went through is Australian Chamber of Commerce.
And what do you do at this grand event?
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's, let's say, a lot of partying and celebration, and we watched the game and some fantastic Aussie meat pies.
Yes,
Oh,
I can attest to that. I
cool.
was actually there last year and those are fabulous.
They are awesome. She's a lovely lady, Lady Pie from Phuket, Australian lady who makes these wonderful meat pies.
Wow,
It's,
sounds good.
So next year.
Yeah.
Next year, absolutely. Well, talk of the town, I believe Tara is going to begin us off.
Right, well, from meat pies to public health. I'm sure meat pies are not so healthy, but hey. Ministry of Public Health has celebrated World Rabies Day on 28th of September. Don't know if you are aware of that, but there we go, there it was. And they did commemorate this day by raising awareness about rabies in Thailand. Now, in Thailand, there's still many, many cases of rabies from all the stray dogs, and actually, even privately owned dogs usually are unvaccinated, and when the owners take them out, they're still unleashed most of the time here. So in 2011, there were 8 deaths caused from rabies, and this year there have been 3 deaths so far. So yeah, it's good to raise awareness about that, and also it's quite kind of risky because there's so many stray dogs out there on the streets.
And I know a lot of foreigners who come here, rabies, especially in the West, it's not a very common thing you come across, but
no.
here, because as you did mention that there are so many strays here, there still are hundreds of cases a year where people get sick, get infected, and some of them do die eventually of it.
Yeah.
So I think we were discussing this before. You can opt for either getting the vaccination beforehand, that one shot, or the 10,
or the painful way.
the painful way afterwards.
The very painful way.
I've had the one. It was really painful, but I thought it's better than having 10 later,
Yes, it is.
possibly.
And one important thing to note is if you have been bitten by a dog and you are unsure about its origins or its health status, do go see a doctor absolutely immediately, because rabies is something that if you wait until the symptoms appear, it's almost too late.
Right.
Your risk, goes skyrockets. So absolutely, see a doctor. They're probably going to recommend the painful route of the multiple injections for a couple of weeks, but better safe than sorry.
I get quite scared, because there are a lot of soy dogs around, and there's some really lovely looking dogs. I don't know whether, have disappeared from their families or what, but it is quite scary when you walk past a pack of dogs or a sleeping dog. You don't want to, scare them into waking up and then attacking you.
Right, and you don't want to startle them either, because then they...
Yeah, exactly. Can get quite defensive. Well, something that's going to at least hit your pocketbook a little closer to home is looking at the airport link. The fares, thankfully, are being decreased. There's a new promotion going on where between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m., starting, now, they'll only cost you around 20 baht, flat fare. Now, normally these costs are 15 to 45 depending on which station you're beginning on. But now that it's going to be a special promotion for those people traveling during those middle hours of the day, because if you think about it, it's not the busiest of time. So I think they're trying to spread out the traffic load there.
Right, sure. And it does join directly onto the BTS at certain intersecting points as well. So it's quite convenient to get straight into the heart of town.
It was extremely busy at the beginning. Do you remember when they had that fare promotion? I think it was actually free to get people to try the travel and commute by that railway line. So it did get quite congested. Hopefully it won't. There's a balance there, I think, of trying to increase the people coming and using the train to being over full.
Yeah, and for those who have never used it before, it actually starts at Payatai Station. There are actually 2 trains you can take. There's an express and a local line. The express gets you to the airport in about, 15, 20 minutes tops. So you get to avoid all that really bad Bangkok traffic, making sure you get to your flight on time.
The express is actually very good. I've taken the express train before. It is super quick and very good. I'm not sure how often, though, how regular the trains are, but it's worth it.
On to the third topic, Talk of the Town. This comes from TNA at MCOT. That's the Thai news agency, by the way. And this is good news for Thailand. The Ministry of Public Health has announced that its hospitals and affiliates will be servicing HIV/AIDS and people with renal failure. Is that right? Kidney failure?
Yes, renal failure.
Right, and people who need dialysis. This is ready now to be continued and in progress, and it will be servicing around 260 patients in Bangkok under government schemes.
If there's any more information that they would like on this, is there anything they can...
It doesn't mention that here, but I'm sure you can find it from the Ministry of Public Health website.
Sure.
All in Thai. Or
Sure can.
English, possibly, I don't know.
Well, on to our next story at the top of the news is looking at a single visa scheme, which was actually put forth back in 2005, and it was between Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam, and in Thailand as well. Now, the other 4 countries, our neighbors, actually have already implemented this scheme where you get a visa for one of the countries and you get granted access for all the others. But as things turn out, Thailand has kind of stepped back from the table and said, ooh, we really don't want to participate this anymore. There's a fear of losing, number 1, those visa fees, number 2, the fact that they have less control over who gets into the country because they want to have a little tighter screening requirements. There's arguments back and forth about is it a cost-effective thing? Is it a move to make it more convenient to come in? There's also fears that if the other countries are allowing such ease of access, especially from countries like China, that Thailand's going to lose out in the future. Tourists will end up actually going to the other countries instead of here because it's easier. Right.
Now, if you put up the barrier to entry, everyone else is making it so convenient. What is the incentive?
Yeah, exactly.
You have to question that.
I can see the different viewpoints there. I mean, it is a very good revenue earner because there are so many visas and so many tourists coming in. However, what I like is for the business person here who travels a lot to the Southeast Asian countries of Vietnam and Cambodia, it takes 1 page of your passport per visa, and if you don't have the APEC card, if you're unfortunate not to have got the APEC card, and you have to keep getting the visas all the time, so there's one single visa for the business people. I think is going to be very good because they still have to get that same type of visa.
Oh, absolutely. And and looking, as you mentioned, you have over 25 million people coming into the country, into Thailand every year. So, big numbers coming here. But even beyond that, looking towards the AEC. Obviously, if you're going to have all this open cooperation in terms of economics, it would make sense that you would kind of pair that up with the visa requirements.
Oh, well.
Oh, well.
Let's wait and see. We can only wait and see.
Well, last but not least on Talk of the Town is, unfortunately, I told you you're going to save money on the air link. You're going to lose money, though, on the air passenger fees from the AOT, actually. Now, everyone knows, if you've been here for a few years, you know that when you went to the airport, you always had to keep aside 500 baht or 600 baht. So when you got into the immigration area, you had to feed it into the machine, get that little ticket. Well, thankfully, they actually include that in the ticket price now.
Right.
So it's much more convenient. But as the AOT is looking to renovate Suvarnabhumi Airport and upgrade all the facilities there, they're saying we need a little extra money. So all those wonderful fees will be getting increased. Domestic flights will increase from 100 to 150 baht. International flights will go from 700 to 800 baht. So not a slight increase.
Quite a big increase.
So I do hope that money will see a comparative improvement in facilities as well.
When does that
Improving
take
by
effect?
12.5%?
That will be, increases will be next year, so get prepared.
Wow, okay. Well, at least you don't have to have that extra cash on you, which is much better now.
Yeah, it was really
Yeah,
annoying.
it makes
when
more sense to include it all in the ticket prices, but it's all hidden now, right?
Yes, you really don't know.
Yeah.
Or especially when you see those special ticket prices, those promotional fares,
Yes.
and you're like, oh wow, it's only $1,000 in mine, and then you're like, oh whoa. Well, we
Plus
have the airport
wage.
fee and plus.
Fuel
Exactly.
costs and tax, and after you get done paying everything, oh, it's pretty expensive after all.
But not as bad. I don't know what it's like in Australia, but especially in the United States, where the fees have become so fragmented that the cost of the ticket is literally just for the aircraft now. You have to pay for food. You have to pay for luggage, carry-on. Every little bit they're starting to charge because the airlines are losing so much money that hopefully Thailand doesn't get that draconian in the future.
Some of the low-cost airlines are doing, similar but smaller scale. There's actually hotels around in Thailand now who are also starting up that same sort of system. You pay is what you need. If you want a towel, you pay for the towel. You pay for, the air conditioning. Each small section
Oh wow.
you have to pay for. So if you don't want the TV or if you don't need the air conditioning, you don't have to pay.
Wow.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, while we're talking, we got a lot of stories today about the airports. Please do remember, today, Don Mueang Airport does open for business.
Wow.
So we now have 2 airports back in business here in Bangkok.
Well, that's pretty good, isn't it? In most of the major cities in the world, they have more than one main airport to kind of spread the load a little bit, right?
Absolutely.
So
People have been
Suvarnabhumi.
complaining about, there's going to be 2 airports, it's going to be too confusing. But when you think about it, it's all, as you
Yeah,
said, most
like
cities have
London
it as
has
well.
Gatwick, Stansted, Heathrow, so many.
Well, even in New York, you've got 3 airports within
Yeah.
the same area. But for those who are wondering exactly what's going on at Don Mueang, this is for domestic flights. So you got all the budget area, carriers there. We're talking about Air Asia, Nok Air, One to Go as well.
Right.
So those different segments really should be separated. You don't normally have people coming in on an international flight and then immediately joining because those airlines don't service those international
That's
flights.
true. That's very true.
You know what? It will be nice. It will be like really nostalgic to see Don Mueang again. If I ever take a flight from there, I think it will be quite a poignant moment.
Well, it's closer to my home, so I'm very pleased about that. I liked it. But you're right, very nostalgic moment.
Well, that wraps up Talk of the Town today. I believe you have the news on what's on VTalk. No? Yes?
No.
You don't?
I don't. I've
Oh,
been
wait a minute,
kept
you know
out of the
what?
loop. Actually, no, I think it's your turn this
I
time.
believe it is
isn't
because, we're actually going to be looking at tawfun.com. And it's actually myself who's doing the interview. How could I forget? It's great. It's a young entrepreneur, a student who's actually used his imagination and his drive, his wanting to be able to travel around the world to develop a website, which is kind of like a combination between Facebook and Google AdWords. Interesting concept and one that is proving very successful for him. We'll find out more after the break.